Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Walmsley. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network. We're a growing global community of over 185,000 now across our 8 arts and culture LinkedIn groups. I don't get to meet everyone, as you can imagine, but when I do, it's a pleasure. And Bailey has joined me today. Bailey is one of our new full members, for which many thanks, because we're entirely member funded as a community at the moment. And we're going to have some fun today. I'm going to ask Bailey to say hi, and then I'm going to create Bailey's fantasy cultural year from the
Yay.
answers to some easy questions to which there are no wrong answers. And I have a magic wand and a time machine at my disposal for this interview. Bailey, are you ready for that?
I'm super excited. Let's go on
Eh,
this journey.
Yes, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. But before we start, perhaps you'd be kind enough to say hi to everyone so that they get to know you better. Let us know where you are, a bit
Yeah,
about you and the work you're doing.
awesome. My name is Bailey Alysse. I'm originally from the US, but I am currently residing in the beautiful city of Porto, which I fall in love with more and more every day. And I have always been a creative at heart, and I decided that a successful life is an artful life, not just for myself, but for the people around me. And so that is my mission in so many words to speak. So,
Fantastic. And how does the rubber hit the road when you're working and on that kind in that way?
yeah, well, it's multifaceted. I'm actually in one of those really cool spaces of sort of recreating my life and figuring out exactly what that looks like for me. I have a background in events production, hospitality, and that always comes to the forefront when I think about creating experiences and bringing people together in creative ways. So whether it's somebody has an idea and they need a creative touch or creative problem solving, that's something that I love to bring to the table. But yes, I'm looking right now at the different ways and potentialities on how to create more experiences and spaces that are art forward, platforming people that are creative or helping expose more people to their creative side, and just positioning creativity and art in the world as something to be taken seriously and have fun with at the same time.
Wonderful. You've given me the perfect theme for your fantasy cultural year.
Awesome.
Um, Wonderful. That's great. Wherever this appears, there'll be links to you and contact details. So if you'd like to connect with Bailey, please look wherever this appears for the links. Right now, we can do our fantasy cultural year. Excellent. You've inspired me for this. I need to place you somewhere in the world, and I'm going to
Okay.
do that by asking you, what's your favorite building?
Okay. Well, it doesn't exist yet. I have always had this vision of a space that I would love to create. And it's sort of, I don't know, it's a live, work, play concept, but it is fueled by art. And it's a space where people feel welcomed in and to commune with art and create different types of experiential moments through it, and community fun, and also space for artists. So it's still concept in my mind, but it is the thing I see when I close my eyes at night that pulls me forward. So it's conceptual.
I
I
love
don't
that.
know if that helps.
No, that's brilliant. I've done over 300 of these interviews and nobody's ever cited a fictitious place before.
It's
So
fictitious for now.
for now, well, that's just made the fantasy cultural year even better.
Yeah.
Um, so I'd like you to imagine in your mind's eye that you're sitting in front of the first LWP, I'm calling it Live, Work, Play Center.
Okay.
Okay, LWP Center. Um, where is it? What city is it in?
I don't know. That's part of what I'm figuring out now in my exploration, and really staying open to I get pulled to. Maybe it exists in one space. Maybe we find a couple spaces for it. But I can feel, I've actually wrote a little story at one point when I was envisioning this, and I can almost feel myself sitting across the street from it, And this really nice, cozy road. There's trees around, and there's just this inviting energy that makes you curious and want to wander in. So, again, we're in fictitious land, but
I'm going to put you in Seattle.
okay. Oh, yeah. You know what? It's giving Seattle vibes.
Yeah,
That's on the
I'm
money.
getting strong Seattle vibes. So I'd like you
Yeah,
to
that's very
imagine
on the money.
that you're sitting out at a pavement cafe bar.
Exactly. I
All
am.
right.
And I can feel the breeze.
You can feel the breeze. You can see the center.
Yeah.
It's 6 p.m. on a June evening. You've just had
Hmm.
a very successful launch event, and you're just doing all the follow-ups afterwards, and you're taking a break in the sunshine just to soak up the feeling of achievement. Okay.
Yes.
Um, and there is a drink on the table next to you.
Hmm.
What would we find there?
Oh my gosh. So it's 6 p.m. So we're in maybe some wine territory. We're celebrating a little bit. We're probably having a really nice glass of wine. Oh, but it's June. So maybe we carry on the spirit of Porto. We have a nice port and tonic because that's my favorite sort of summer wine down bevy.
Nice.
And it feels celebratory. And it'll also maybe bring me back to this moment where I started to believe in this vision. And I was here in Porto when that happened. So let's do a port and tonic. Final answer.
Porton tonic, love that. Now there's a book on the table next to you, one book.
Okay.
It could be your favorite book. It could be a book that's been with you all your life, perhaps changed
Okay.
your life, or it could be a recent discovery. What book would we find on the table next to your port and tonic?
Okay. There's going to be two. One of them is going to be The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. This book, I think he launched it maybe a few years ago. And it has a lot of really beautiful musings about the creative act. And I always, when I meet artists, I always am inspired to give this book to them because it just reminds people of that inner calling that our creativity and our art brings us to, and that it matters, and that creating for ourselves and a spiritual level really matters. And so this book for sure, and then my journal, because usually when I'm really working through having my realizations or just reflections, I like to journal. And usually I'll bring that book and my journal just about everywhere with me. So,
Fantastic choices. You can have both. There
okay,
was
yes. All
there's a
right. I know I'm cheating a
um,
little bit here, but
um, there's a British politician. I don't think he's with us anymore, called Tony Benn, and he was an extremely keen diarist
Hmm.
and journaler, or journal writer. And he said it magnifies the pleasure of the experience because you experience something, then you have the pleasure of writing about it, and then later you can read about it.
It's
Um,
so true.
yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. So you've got the two books there. Now you're feeling quite pleased with yourself. Okay.
Grateful for sure.
You've just come from a meeting inside your own live work play center, um, with a wealthy Seattle based family foundation. Okay.
Okay. Hmm.
They've got wind of what you've achieved.
Hmm.
Okay. And they're extremely wealthy, and they
Okay.
love to invest uh, in concepts that they think are um, aiming for togetherness, peacefulness, and the arts. Okay.
Hmm.
They'd like to hire you for a year. Okay.
Okay.
You'll get a PA, so everything is sorted out. They'd like you to travel the world and decide where 6 more LWPs are going to be set up, and they're going to fund it.
Okay.
Okay.
Love this. All right.
You can go anywhere you like in the world. So
Okay.
where will you go first?
Okay.
It's
Let's see.
first class all the way, by the way. Oh, and by the way, they've arranged for you to do a TED talk when you get back.
Heck
Uh,
yeah. All right.
yeah,
Okay.
then there is a TV crew will follow you while you're doing
Okay.
your site visits. There's a
Oh, I
book
love this.
there's a book deal. Um,
Okay.
and there is a global university lecture tour after you've
Okay.
done it. You can visit several places in the whole year, but we'll probably only do the first few. But so it's a big deal. You become really quite well known for the achievement. Um,
Okay.
and where do you want to go first?
Okay. So how many places do I have? You said
We'll
five.
probably do one, two, three, and then I'll bring whiskey back to London for a week with me.
Okay. Oh yeah. Well, London was going to be one of my places.
Okay, so you can do three more then.
Okay, because I love London, and it has a actually, when I visited London, I spent the whole weekend doing art things there as a beautiful, amazing, really cool arts culture. So London is definitely one of those places.
Okay.
And then, okay, so I've got three more
We'll do them
places.
one at a time. So just choose one of the other ones and we'll do that next.
Okay,
We'll come
let
to
me.
London in a moment.
I would really love to do something somewhere a little bit more remote because, okay, so, London has a lot of really cool things. Seattle has a lot of really cool things. So, probably maybe we would go somewhere remote, maybe, I don't know, maybe a Spanish island or something, which would be fun also to run
Mm.
that. But I think that would be a really cool way to add another layer of culture and art to it.
How about Tenerife?
Yeah, okay, Tenerife, definitely down for
Tenerife.
that. So we got
Okay.
okay, so we'll do Tenerife.
Let's do
Um,
Tenerife first and then we'll do the next ones. So
okay, so Tenerife.
you're on the plane, okay?
Okay,
From Seattle to Tenerife.
okay,
You turned left on the plane. You're traveling
okay.
first class, and the steward brings you a port and tonic and a
Yes.
letter and a note from the Family Foundation. Okay. They've
Okay.
got a musical challenge for you.
A
They would
musical
like,
show.
yeah, they would like you to limit your musical listening to one genre or type of music for 12 months. Only one. If you
Okay.
had to do that, what would you choose?
Chopin nocturnes.
Oh, lovely. There
Yeah.
you go. There's the first surprise.
Yeah.
Um, I was imagining salsa or something like that.
Well, listen, I have a very diverse, I know a lot of people say this, and so the alternative would have been maybe like blues music, but Chopin
Mm,
Nocturnes is just one of those ones, especially if we're creating, and it's something I feel like I could definitely listen to for that long of time and never get
brilliant.
sick of. So,
I
yeah.
didn't expect I didn't expect the head of Chinese art at Sotheby's to choose hip hop.
Yeah.
Um, she
Hey,
said,
everything has its place for sure.
I know. She said, I don't like it, but after 12 months of listening to it, I might do.
See, she's open,
Yeah,
she wants
she's
to
open. That
expand
was brilliant.
horizons.
I love
Yeah.
that. That's great. Fantastic. Now you arrive in Tenerife.
Tenerife. Hmm.
Yep, I know it well. Um, and a bit twice this year, earlier this year, I think. Um, and a group of young people welcome you at the airport. They whisk you into um, somewhere just south of the airport. And you've got an apartment overlooking the sea um,
Yes.
towards, is it La Gomera, the island close to it within sight? And you've got a beautiful apartment. Okay. And they say, right, settle down, settle in, unpack, relax. We're coming back later to take you out to a dance performance and then out to dinner. Okay. Now,
Okay.
this is where the magic wand and the time machine come in because you don't
Okay.
have to remain in Spanish culture. Um,
Okay.
I can put any dance-based performance on the stage in front of you. It can be
Okay.
any dance style, any group, any dancers, living or not. Um, what dance-based performance would you like me to put in front of you?
It is going to be Spanish culture still. It would probably be the very first flamenco show I saw in Sevilla. Because even though I've been very moved by a lot of dance and musical performances, something about that show made me cry, and I think about it all the time. So it's very inspirational, and I just felt it deep in my soul. So it would just be maybe that performance from Sevilla, the first one I ever saw.
Fantastic choice. Great. And what about national cuisine for dinner? You don't have to, you can choose anything. So
I mean,
let's
we're
just,
in Spain for a reason, so maybe we're gonna do a traditional paella. Why not? But it's, like
nice.
really one of the really good ones because, yeah, we're in Spain. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it right.
Yeah. It's a great big dish. I can
They want
see
it,
it.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But you need people to share it with, though. So, do I have
You've
people
got
to
you've
share
got
it with?
all your young Spanish
Oh,
friends are
okay,
joining you.
awesome.
Excellent. Now we're doing a whistle stop version of this, so we're going to fly somewhere else next. So where would be next? So we started in Seattle, we've
Okay.
been to Tenerife. Where else in the world do you think an LWP is needed for togetherness,
Yeah,
peace,
that's the
and the
thing. It's
arts?
about finding the places where it's more needed as well. I don't know, maybe somewhere in Asia would be super cool. I'm not exactly sure where. Maybe it's Bali or Thailand or something cool like that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, maybe somewhere like that is where I'm
Yeah.
being.
Well, South Korea are upping their game with their soft power, aren't they, with K-pop?
Yeah, that
Um,
would be really cool. Because I think the interesting thing is how to spread it around the world in a way where we find some of the niche places that need it, but also then we're pulling these different cultures because who knows how you can cross collaborate across the
yeah,
locations as well.
South
So I
Korea is
feel like
probably
spreading
new.
out is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think South Korea is quite newsworthy,
Yeah.
So great choice. So we're going to Seoul, okay?
Okay. Oh,
Um,
yes. Okay. So,
you're on the plane again. Now, in Seoul, when we get into South Korea, it's sport day, okay?
okay.
Now we have breakdancing in the Olympics. We've got dressage to music, gymnastics to music. Some sport is clearly performance art. I can put any sporting event in front of you for a couple of hours, and you can participate or you can spectate. What would you like me to pop in front of
Oh,
you?
man. Sport and a lot of them, they really are their own aspect of arts. This is maybe a curveball, but I feel like well, I think I keep giving those anyways, right? Something that I've always been amazed by, and I think it has definitely its own artistry is um bear with me here, is maybe something like wait, let me think through that one just to make sure. Okay, yeah, it's a curveball, but we're gonna go there because it was my instinctual hit. I've
Yeah.
always been really fascinated by when I watch the summer, specifically summer X Games, and some of the people that are doing these very interesting things with, I don't know, on wheels, and it's requires so much coordination and physical strength, but there's an art to it, when they do their runs and they're putting together all of their combinations. It's akin to something like gymnastics performance because you do all
Mm.
these different combinations. There's so much artistry to it, but I don't think that one of the things I love to challenge in people's minds is seeing artistry in the things that you might not see initially. But I feel like this is its own art form, and it's
Well,
fascinating.
yeah, parkour is certainly an art form,
Right. Oh my
isn't
gosh,
it?
parkour. Exactly. Like this
Yeah.
kind of style of almost urban, athletic crossover into the arts. And, you see X Games type things and
Mm.
parkour. And it requires so much dedication and so much command over your body and your environment and bravery. Yeah, and you have to be very skilled at your craft. And so I
Mm.
think that has its own classification for sure.
Well, I've waved my magic wand, and the World Parkour Championships are in Seoul when you're there,
Okay, which sounds very fitting, actually, I think.
doesn't
It's
it?
right on
Yeah.
brand.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to buzz again now to one more,
Okay.
and then we're going to London.
Okay. We need to go a little bit more south. Let me think. I mean, I am also pulled to Netherlands a little bit, but I feel like Netherlands has a lot of stuff going on. Maybe we go to Brazil, because
Hmm.
Brazil has also a lot of arts culture there. And I mean, just a very beautiful, vibrant
Okay,
culture in general, and just very happy spirited people. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to platform artists there as well. So there's so much talent there, so much. And I think that it would be really cool to,
let's go
yes.
to Rio. Let's go to
Yeah,
Rio.
love Rio.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
It's carnival when we're there, by the way,
Okay. Love that.
which is
Good
great.
timing.
But there's also the opening of a new digitally enhanced art gallery in Rio, in
Okay.
my fantasy world.
Okay.
Um, it's an immersive experience, but it's not
Okay.
projection. You put on virtual reality glasses and you step into the work of a famous artist.
Oh,
Okay.
famous artists.
It becomes 360 degrees, three dimensions. There is movement, there is sound. You can see and walk around in three dimensions what the artist could only show us in two. In
Okay.
those circumstances, whose work would you like to step into?
Oh my gosh. I wish I knew. I mean, we're in Brazil. I feel like we should platform a Brazilian artist, but I don't have a famous one in mind for that.
I guess
Hmm.
Frida Kahlo would be close in Mexico, wouldn't she?
Well, I would probably do maybe in that same vein, Leonora Carrington, because she's one of my favorite female surrealist artists. So probably Leonora Carrington or Remedios Vara, because, or I mean, they did some stuff together. So one of them, but they're also Latin
Yeah, let's
surrealist.
show Leonora so that
Yeah.
we can pick a scene for you to walk around in.
Oh,
So
okay.
here's Leonora. Which of these environments would you like to step into and walk
I mean,
around
so
in?
many of them, honestly. Let's do, hmm.
This one looks interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking that one. Yeah, go ahead and do that one
Yeah,
because it's kind of giving
you
it a
get to
little bit of
walk
a
around there.
maze. Right. Let's do that
Yeah,
one.
wonderful. Excellent. So that's Leonora Carrington. Fantastic. Now we're nearly there, but I'm going to whisk you to London for a week with me. Okay.
Okay.
We're going out every evening to do something cultural together. On Monday, we're going back in time to a concert of some description, your
Oh
choice. Okay. On Tuesday, we're going to a theatre play. On Wednesday, we're going to a Broadway or West End musical. On
okay.
Thursday, it's either opera or ballet. And Friday is movie night. So,
Okay.
is there a concert that you attended that you would love to go back in time and be at again?
Can we go back in time to a concert and never got a chance to go to because they're no longer with us?
Absolutely, because someone's interviewed me with these questions, and in
Okay.
1979 I could have seen Bob Marley and I didn't.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
It would have been.
Bob Marley would be super amazing. I have always said though that I would absolutely love to have been alive during the time that I could have seen Frank Sinatra perform.
Hmm.
If I could see Frank Sinatra live, I would probably melt in place.
We're going,
So,
in that case, we're
Frank,
going to use the magic wand and the time machine, and we're going back to
okay.
the Sands in Las Vegas
Okay.
for a Rat Pack show, and you get to hear them all.
Oh my God, that gives me chills actually.
Yeah. Frank
I would love
Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis
oh my
Jr.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dream
Wouldn't
come
that
true.
be? Yeah.
Dream come
Fantastic.
true.
Okay, so it's Tuesday, and we're going to the theatre
Okay.
for a play. We're in London, so we've got Shakespeare's Globe. But is
Okay.
there a play that you'd particularly like to see?
So I've only seen one show before on Broadway in Times Square, and it was Chicago. I've always heard though that The Lion King is a really, really top-notch Broadway show, and I know that you guys show that in you guys have a great theater scene in London that I have not really explored.
Mm.
But maybe as a local, you would have a top recommendation on a must see because the only show I saw while I was in London that I talk about all the time was not really Broadway style. It was Copacabana at the London Cabaret Club, and I recommend it to everybody because it was incredible. But maybe you have a recommendation, because my default might be Lion King because I've just been hearing it for so long as a really good
Mm,
Broadway show. And I can always see Chicago again and again.
yeah, I think probably it'll be. Have you seen Les Miserables?
I have not seen Les Miserables.
It's got to be Les Mis.
Okay. All right.
Got to
It's a
be Les
got
Mis.
to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Matilda, which I think is one of my favorites. It's so cleverly done. The Roald Dahl musical, Matilda.
I feel like that I got to see them all.
Yeah, we'd have to be busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so Thursday would be opera or ballet. Which would you prefer?
Opera.
And are you an opera buff?
I am not. And I've been really wanting to go to an opera, and I've been thinking about it for a while. So it would fulfill a bucket list need.
Yeah, I think probably because it's based in Seville, I think we'll go
Yeah.
to see Carmen
Okay.
by
Oh my, that
Bizet.
would be amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. And Friday, we're nearly there. And Friday is movie night. We're going to the Sphere in Las Vegas. Have you seen it?
I haven't, no.
Okay, I'm going to show you.
Oh, is this the one where they did
Backstreet Boys.
okay, okay, so maybe I have seen it.
Yeah, I'll just show the pictures quickly.
We're doing
There we go. It's enormous. It's in Las Vegas, but this is the experience.
okay, yes, I've seen some of this where they had, what is that new sort of robotic, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of it. And it's been traveling around, and they did a really cool show. Oh, so we
Mm,
get to see a movie on there. Wait, that's a very difficult decision because we need something that feels
yeah,
immer Oh, I know. I have my answer. I have my answer.
excellent. What are we watching?
All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Fantasia. Fantasia.
That's a great choice for there.
Yeah. Yeah, that I think
Wonderful.
molded my brain when I was a kid. I watched it over and over and over, and I think I it's
Yeah.
probably a reason I am the
There's
way
a
that I
lovely
am.
story
What about
about
you?
this the Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is Mickey Mouse with all the brooms.
Yep.
Uh, the composer was Paul Dukas, and
Right.
he was hired by uh, Disney to write the music for. He wrote The Sorcerer's Apprentice. I'm not sure which
Yep.
came first, but he
I
was,
think
I
it was
think,
Sorcerer's Apprentice first, and then they were like,
yeah,
let's do
yeah.
more because it was
He
so cool.
was. He negotiated a fee per bar.
Oh, I did
Um,
not know that.
yeah, per measure. And it's dum da 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 dum da dum da dum da dum da 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 da. It could be in 6/8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Okay.
6. He wrote it in 3/8, so that it's
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. He got twice as many bars out of it and got twice as much money.
Oh, smart. I did not. That was one Fantasia fun fact I did not have in my
There we go.
repertoire yet.
Fantasia. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Lovely. Now we're nearly there. Okay.
Okay.
But before I send you off to do this wonderful year-long trip, it's going to be great. You become the go-to person for the convergence of peace, togetherness, and the arts. You're fated, you're on the telly, you've got a newspaper column, you've got all sorts of things going on as a result of this, which is wonderful. But the last thing I'm going to do before I send you off is to give you a hero lunch. Okay.
Hero
A
lunch?
hero lunch. Yes, you can invite one person to lunch. It can be anyone you like, famous or otherwise, living or not, fictitious or real. Um, who would you like to have a nice leisurely 2-hour lunch with?
Oh, that's really, really hard. Um, it's gonna have to be it's gonna have to be my grandfather. He's not with us anymore, so it probably would be him.
That's a great one. Now there's a slight twist to this question.
Okay.
Who would your granddad invite?
Bye, mom.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
that's a lovely lunch.
I mean, it's like
Um,
that feels like maybe a little on the nose, but it's very real.
no,
So,
no,
and
that's
actually, I had a dream.
you're not the first. You're not the first to choose a beloved family member.
Yeah,
Um,
I had a dream this week that had actually my grandfather, and my mom all hanging out. So it just feels like I mean, it's the real answer. So yeah,
that's
that would be
fantastic.
awesome.
Wonderful. There we go. That's your fantasy cultural year. Thank you very much,
Yay.
Bailey.
That's a lot in a year.
Um,
So I got a lot of
yeah,
work to do.
thank you for being a good sport and doing this. It's really kind of you. And thank you also for being a full member because we're entirely member funded, so it's very much appreciated. Wherever this appears, there'll be information about you on a profile on the website. It'll be on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify. And then we'll promote it to the members LinkedIn group. That's the plan. But
Mark, thank you so much. It was so much, really so much fun. It's unlike any other interview. And I'm so grateful for the work that you do with Arts and Culture Network. You put so much heart and soul into it, and you bring such a great group of people together. And I'm glad to be a part of it. So thank you for the opportunity. And this was genuinely so much fun. So
great. Thank you so much, Bailey.